Welcome back. So now I've been getting requests to do videos on parasitology. So I'll be covering that quickly. So under parasitology, first I'll be talking about a few important terms that we need to know. So here is a term of vector. So vector is nothing but an agent. So it is I'll write it in brown. It is nothing but an agent. And what else is that? It is an arthropod, arthropod, and it transmits infection from one human to another. Next, what is to be known is that the vectors can be biological. So there's something known as biological vectors, or second type being mechanical vectors. So under biological vectors, the parasites multiply in this, whereas in case of mechanical vectors, they do not multiply. Now, going ahead, we are looking at the examples. In case of biological, there's CC fly. It's a biological vector of T. brucei, while housefly is nothing but a mechanical vector. Housefly. And housefly transfers the cyst of Entamoeba histolytica. This is the thing. And transfers cyst of Entamoeba histolytica from infected feces to the food. And humans acquire by consuming the contaminated food. Just to recap, there is the vectors. Under this there is agent, and it is nothing but an arthropod that can transfer from one human to the other. There are two types. One is biological and the other being mechanical. Under biological, the parasites, they multiply, whereas the mechanical, they do not multiply. Under biological, the example being CC fly for case of T. brucei, and in case of mechanical vectors, this housefly for Entamoeba histolytica. Now, moving ahead, we'll be highlighting on some of the infections that are caused. Before that, we'll be quickly looking on what are the lab diagnoses in general that we can do. So there are a lot of topics to discuss, but having the time constraint, I'll be just covering the important ones. So under lab diagnosis, we need to see the direct demonstration of parasite. So there is direct demonstration. Second one being there is serological test. Third one being there is skin test. And the fourth one being there can be molecular methods as well. Now, looking at urine analysis, the urine examination. One second. Remove and add this. Okay. So under urine examination, the specimens seen are Wucheria bancrofti, that is eggs of S. hematobium, may be demonstrated in urine as well as in case of chyluria, and this is in case of caused by Wucheria bancrofti. Okay, chyluria by Wucheria bancrofti. Microfilaria may be demonstrated in chylous urine. So in this particular case, microfilaria can be done. Just to summarize the entire thing, there's lab diagnosis, under this being direct demonstration, serological, skin test and molecular methods. Under urine examination, there is eggs of S. hematobium as well as chyluria, Wucheria bancrofti, and the microfilaria is seen in such cases. Now, looking at other aspects, now we'll be quickly just looking at the definite and intermediate host. This is a very important table and will help us to deal with the multiple choice questions. So I'll be drawing a column here. So this is nothing but the parasite. So the parasite comes here. Next I'll be doing the definitive host, and the third column being the intermediate host. So these are the three columns. So first, looking at the parasites. So here I'll be doing protozoa. So under protozoa there is Entamoeba histolytica. So under this, the definitive host is the human being. Next being the Giardia lamblia, this also being in human being. Next being Bacteridium coli. So Bacteridium coli is also in pigs as well as human being. Next there is Trichomonas vaginalis. This is in case of human beings. Now looking at helminths. This is the helminths. Under helminths there is Ascaris lumbricoides. Under this, it's also in human beings. Next one being Ancyclostoma duodenale. It is also in human beings. Next one, Necata americanus. It is also in human beings. And Entamoeba vermicularis, human beings. And fifth one, Trichuris trichura, also in human beings. So all this are in human beings. Now moving ahead, we are looking at the protozoa. Under the protozoa category, it has Plasmodium species. Next one being the Leishmania donovi, Mania donovi. Next one being Toxoplasma gondii. Next, Trypanosoma brucei, as well as Trypanosoma cruzi. So now quickly looking at the definitive host, and then we have the intermediate host. So under this, in case of Plasmodium species, definitive host is the mosquito, and Leishmania donovi, it is the dogs, as well as the human beings. Next one in Toxoplasma gondii, it is the cats. Next in Trypanosoma brucei, there's human beings as well as animals, and the same goes to cruzi as well. Now, just highlighting on the intermittent host. In case of Plasmodia, it's the human beings. In case of Leishmania drenovi, it's the sandfly. And in case of Toxoplasma gondii, it's the human being. And then it's also the rodents. Next, in case of brucei, it is the CC fly. It is CC fly. And then in case of cruzi, it is triatom bug. Triatomine bug. So this is the triatomine bug. Now moving ahead with the helminths. So we finished the protozoa. This is the helminths. Under the helminths, firstly there is the cystodes. So under the cystodes being Taenia solium, Taenia saginatum, and also in Echinococcus granulosus. And then moving on to the cystodes, there is trematodes. Under trematodes, there is Fasciola hepatica. There is Fasciolopsis basque. There is Schistoma species, and next there is also the nematodes. Under nematodes, there is Trichinella spiralis, Wucheria bancrofti, Brugueria malai. There is Loa, Onchocerca volvulus, and Draculunculus medinensis. Just to come back to the thing, cystodes, definitive host is DH, definitive host, and then you have the intermittent host. In case of definitive host, it is the cystodes. It is a human being. Here it can be dogs, Echinococcus granulosus, and the intermittent host in Taenia solium is pigs. Then in Saginata, cattle, and then moving on, after cattle there is again human beings. Next, after human beings, in case of Fasciola species, it is the snails which acts as intermittent host. Snails, same. And in case of definitive host, it is the human beings and animals. Here also it's human beings and pigs. Here it's human beings and animals. And nematodes, it's mainly definitive host being human beings. And then intermediate host, the Trichinella spiralis, is pigs. Next, Wucheria bancrofti and Bulgaria is mosquito. And then Loa is nothing but it is chrysops. And then Onchocerca volvulus is Simulium, and Draculunculus medinensis is cyclops. Just to quickly revise, parasite we looked at parasite, definitive and intermediate host. Protozoa, there's Entamoeba histolytica, Giardia lambia, Balantidium coli, and Trichodermis vaginalis. So Entamoeba histolytica is human beings, it's also human beings, and then Balantidium coli is pigs are human beings. Trichodermis vaginalis, it's human beings. Then there is also helminths we spoke about, and here there is Ascaris lumbricoids, human beings, Ansex glomerular, human beings, Necator americanus, human beings, Enterobium vermiculus, and Trichuda, also the human beings. Next, we spoke about the protozoans. There's Plasmodium species, let's mention Adunavi, there's Toxoplasma gondii, Trypanosoma brucei, Trypanosoma cruzi. So, Plasmodium species, there's mosquito as well as the just talking about definitive host. Plasmodium mosquito, Leishmania adunavi, dogs and human beings. Toxoplasma gondii, cats. Toxoplasma brucei, human beings and animals. Trypanosoma cruzi, same. Now, looking at the intermediate host, Plasmodia is human beings, Leishmania is sandfly, and Toxoplasma gondii is human beings or rodents. Trypanosoma brucei is CC fly, and Trypanosoma cruzi is nothing but the triatom bug. Now looking at the helminths, under cystodes, there is Taenia solium, human beings and pigs, Taenia sagittum, human beings and cattle, Echinococcus rendulosus, dogs and human beings. So it can be dogs as well as any canine animals. So trematodes, under that you have Fasciola hepatica, Fasciola busci, Fasciolopus busci, as well as Schizostoma. So under human beings and animals, then human beings and pigs, and human beings and animals. So here you have snails that acts as intermediate host. Next there is nematodes. Under this there is Trichinella spiralis, Bucera bancrofti, Bugeria malai, Loa, and then Onchocerca volvulus, Trichuncus medinensis. So all these are present in human beings and pigs. Then there's mosquito and chrysops, and then there's Simulium, and then there's also Cyclops. So next, just looking at the ones which act on three hosts. Okay, that is an important concept, so I'll be doing that as well. So here are cestodes. Under these cestodes there is diphyllobothrium latum. So this is diphyllobothrium latum. So speaking about the definitive host, there is under the definitive host there is human beings as well as animals. And next, just looking at the intermediate host. Under this there is first as well as second. Under the first there is Cyclops, and under the second there is fish. This is nothing but Diphyllobothrium latum. Next, we're looking at the trematodes. So under trematodes there is Paragonimus, Westermanni, and looking at definitive host, there is human beings. Next, intermediate host is snail, and the second being crab or crayfish. So this is Paragonimus westermanni. This is associated with crab. Just to summarize, we spoke about cestodes, which have 3 cycles. Cestodes, and then Diphyllobothrium latum. Definitive host being human being or animal. Intermediate host is cyclops and fish, CF. And next is trematodes is Paragonium westermanni. Definitive host is human being, and intermediate host is snail or crab or crayfish. So just to highlight what we discussed, we spoke about what is a vector, talk about a few laboratory diagnoses, then we spoke about the parasites and definitive host, then we also spoke about under that we spoke about protozoa, helminths, again we spoke about protozoa and the helminths, under that cestodes, trematodes, nematodes, and we also spoke about 3 vector. Under that there is again the cystodes and trematodes, examples being Diphyllobotrium latum and Paragonium westermani. Thank you.